Hi guys, Ali Duzette here. It's been a while since I made a video, it feels like to me, and I've missed you guys, and I have some interesting stuff to talk about today because we have an eclipse portal coming up this weekend, okay? And I have not been paying attention for reasons related to the eclipse, and I'll talk about that. But let's pull up the chart itself. Okay, and I know that this looks like total gobbledygook, but this is the thing that you need to pay attention to. This is the sun, and this is the moon. Okay, and I think that's like pretty, I mean, looks like a sun, looks like a moon. This is Taurus, this orange guy, and it's the bull. He's got his little horns, right? Okay, Taurus the bull, stubborn as a bull. Okay, the bull in the china shop, okay, which I love that because Taurus deals with physical stuff, items, possessions, belongings, resources, okay, and things that are beautiful. So if you can remember, Taurus is the bull in the china shop. That will be a really helpful thing for you to remember. You'll kind of understand the gist of Taurus. Okay, so on Saturday, this coming Saturday at 4:27 p.m. in Washington, D.C., which I'm measuring from because I want to view this in the context of America's Pluto return. Okay, so remember, pause, the Pluto return, the first one took place in February 20th of 2022. And past Pluto returns have been associated with like societal upheavals, civil war, other kinds of wars, just like big national problems that last for about 12 years. So the first domino flicked on February the 20th. That was the same day that the Ukraine-Russia conflict began. Okay, formally, it really started on that date. And so that's very interesting. Okay, so coming up, and so now we're about halfway between that Pluto return and our next one, which will be in July, because Pluto returns usually take about 244 years, but Pluto's going retrograde. So I view it like a slap. It went that way for February. It's going to go that way for July and that way this coming December. Okay, so we're halfway between slap one and slap two is like halfway there. Okay, and so this is what's happening on the halfway time. We're having an eclipse portal. So as a reminder, the eclipse portal, first off, you can never just have one eclipse. You always get eclipses in sets of 2 or sets of 3, twins or triplets, okay? You start with one eclipse when the sun and moon are either next to each other or totally opposite, and then it ends with the opposite. So this one is starting with a new moon, and then it's going to end on the full moon. Okay, but sometimes they start on the full moon and end on a new moon. So what's happening right now is the sun and the moon are going to be occupying the same slice of the zodiacal chart. Obviously, they're not in the same space, okay, right? Like the sun is like really far away and the moon is much closer. They're not going to be actually on top of each other. But from the Earth's perspective, they will be aligned, okay, in the zone of 10 degrees Taurus, okay? And so you can see it's 10 degrees, 28 and 27 right there. They will both be aligned at 28 minutes at like 4:27, like 22 milliseconds or whatever. So we're just counting from 4:27. Okay, and again, from Washington, D.C., because the Pluto return is a national energy, it emanates from Washington, D.C. So even though I live in Utah, my own chart of how this will look, will depend on myself and everything. But anyway, okay, so let's talk about it. Because the reason why this eclipse is happening in Taurus is because this year we have the nodal path going from Scorpio to Taurus. That's these horseshoes. Okay, wherever the horseshoes are, the nodes, depend on the placement of the moon, or kind of on the moon nodes. Anyways, it's all like mathy and stuff, but you don't have to worry about it. But the important thing to know is that this is the axis that everyone in the world is working with right now, Scorpio to Taurus. And that's where all of the eclipses are going to happen for the next 18 months, or probably 14 months at this point because of when the nodes shifted. So this axis I've talked about before. This is the axis of the skeletons coming out of the closet. The last time we had this axis, we had the Iraq War. It was 2002 to 2003. And we had just all of that crazy stuff happening, hidden agendas taking form. And that's what we can expect from, January 18th of 2022, which is when this shifted, until, probably June or July of 2023. So we're just a few months into this, and we're already seeing hidden agendas taking shape, right? We are seeing it in Russia and Ukraine. Okay, we're seeing it at home as well. Like just now we're discovering that the Hunter Biden laptop was a real thing, right? So this like hidden agenda is like coming forward and people are starting to see it more. Maybe you've seen things about like food processing plants getting burned. I would just want to note with that, there's been like, I don't even want to guess, I think like 30 food plants have been burned in the past couple of months or something, which is very weird. But at the same time, one thing that is important to remember is that there's 34,000 food processing plants in America, apparently. So like, it is weird, but 30 out of 34,000 is like not so bad, but we're still dealing with supply chain issues, which are going to have to deal with this too. Because one thing that I realized just in the past couple of days as I was pondering this upcoming eclipse is that this is the axis of resources. Okay, Taurus, the bull in the china shop, remember? Taurus deals with your resources, your stuff, your money, your house, your clothes, your jewelry, your things that you have. And Taurus is associated with the farmer. And so it can also deal with land, obviously, it deals with land, but also what grows on the land. So what is that? Food, okay, right? We're dealing with food. We're going to deal with, textiles come from the land. So food, clothing, shelter, land, stuff, items, money, things that are yours. And Scorpio deals with other people's resources. And this is a little bit of a hard concept to understand, or for me it was when I first was getting into astrology, and I was like, what the heck does this mean? Scorpio deals with other people's resources. But we're talking about inheritance, okay? We're talking about, like a great example, I did a star chart reading for someone, I don't even remember who you are, and I'm sorry, but they had a bunch of stuff going on in this axis, and the issue was that their own land, they couldn't build a house on it, so they had to live on somebody else's land in like a tiny house or something like that. And so that's a great example of Scorpio energy. Scorpio energy is going to deal with what are you using that actually isn't yours. Okay, Taurus is going to deal with the stuff that is yours, and Scorpio deals with the stuff that is really actually not yours, or that is kind of yours, but it didn't originate with you. So Scorpio is also going to deal with your generational baggage. Okay, all the stuff from your ancestors that you haven't processed yet. And it's going to deal with your ancestral gifts. Okay, so if you're really good at math, because your grandpa was really good at math, that's a Scorpio thing as well. These generational talents and gifts and blessings, generational traumas and pains, and like mental health issues, genetic issues, like the pros and cons both go with Scorpio. And again, what stuff is yours, what stuff is not yours. So in a way, this axis also really deals with self-reliance. Okay. So when I see this axis from Scorpio, this is the upside down horseshoe, to Taurus, when I've seen it in some people's charts, it doesn't always show up like this, but a lot of times when this is in somebody's natal chart, what that can indicate is that they might have trouble being self-reliant. Okay, they might have some trouble being able to provide all of the resources that they need for themselves. They might start their life journey dependent, which of course everybody does. Okay, we all start out as babies and nobody can take care of themselves, right? We all have to rely on other people. But for somebody with this axis, I just have known numerous people with this axis who like one person with this axis I know is turning 36 and just now is able to afford their own phone plan. Okay, so that's like a really great example of this axis showing up, where it's like, even though they're like a grown up, they've like kind of got their act together, they're living on their own, but they still need their dad to pay their phone bill. you know, like that is a really great example of that. This is going to be like the shadow version of that south node in Scorpio heading towards Taurus, the north node in Taurus. Their life trajectory is to become self-reliant, to provide their own resources. And this can be physical resources, you know, like your stuff and your items. And it can also be like emotional self-reliance, because Taurus also deals with your emotional foundation. Okay. So is your emotional foundation in others and like family line stuff? Is it coming from within? Okay. So this is the axis that we're working with. And right now we're going to have that new moon eclipse on Saturday afternoon, and that's going to open up this portal. Okay. All of our energy fields are going to open up in the whole world. Every human, all of us are going to be opened up, and we're going to have this 2 weeks where we get this opportunity to learn this whole year's worth of information about resources, stuff, the inner hidden secrets coming to life. Okay. We get to work through this again. And again, we just went through one of these in November 19th, I think, to December the 4th. And now we're going to do it again. Okay. And so this is pretty exciting. And we have a lot of opportunities to work through some old baggage. Okay. And to find new sources of information and self-reliance. This is an axis of self-reliance, calling us to bring our awareness to where we are relying on other people and helping us to figure out how are we going to rely on ourselves. Okay. And this can be a hard thing. Okay. I mean, it is a tough thing in lots of ways. I mean, our entire government system right now is run on basically like wealth redistribution, right? And so basically what we have is a lot of basically everything that you see is getting paid for by people that you don't see, right? Which is a real theme of this axis. Scorpio is the scorpion. It's hiding under the rocks and nobody sees it. Okay. People don't even know that it's there. And then Taurus is like the land that you see, and everybody can tell that it's there. It's the bull in the china shop. Okay. And so anyway, so it will be really interesting. I think this next 18 months with this nodal shift, I've really focused on those hidden agendas coming to light. But I think what we're also going to see in an extreme way is how many people are truly self-reliant with their resources and how many people are not. And we're already starting to see this now on my Facebook. I'm in some like silly groups and some great groups. Like I love my own Facebook group. I have some groups that I really love. And I have some groups that friends have added me to in the past. And it's just full of like, kind of like ditzy people. Okay. Which is fine. Like ditzes are fine. That's fine. But anyway, I just kind of hang out in them just to see what normal people are up to in the world. And guess what? In the past, you know, probably 5 days in particular, I feel like every other post in these groups is, oh my gosh, the price of groceries is rising so fast that I cannot keep up. I cannot keep up. How am I supposed to feed my family when chicken was $10 last week and $12 this week? And next week it's going to be 14. And that's just a couple of dollars. But when you have to buy 15 different things at the store, it just adds up so much. And it's all these moms saying, how am I going to afford this? I need to get a job, but I have all my kids. Now I need to work from home. Okay. And so then they say, what kind of jobs can I have that I can work from at home? And this is the energy that I think we're really going to head into, especially in these next 2 weeks with this eclipse portal. Eclipse portals, again, are like 2 weeks or 4 weeks because of how the moon moves, you know. Anyway, the new moon and the full moon are 2 weeks apart, so that's why. But we're going to all have that light shown upon prices. This is the axis of prices, money, and items, okay, and food. So we're going to be taking a look at that. Now I'm going to talk about myself for a minute because I learned about this as I was struggling with my own issue with resources and food, which is that I am still nursing my baby, who is turning 1 during the eclipse portal. She will turn 1 right at like the apex of the eclipse portal. If you kind of view it as like a little rainbow or something, she's going to have her first birthday right in the middle of it. So this will be an interesting year for her. She's going to have that eclipse energy for her entire year. Your solar return, when the sun goes back to where it was when you were born on your birthday, that moment generates this chart that kind of gives you the forecast for your year. So I haven't run her solar return yet, but I'm really interested to see how this eclipse energy will play out for her. But why did I mention that? Because she's almost turning 1. I'm still nursing her. She's my 5th kid in 10 years. And I've basically been pregnant and nursing for 10 years, 5 different kids, which is like kind of a lot of kids. I don't know, like it's not like a million kids, but it kind of is like a million kids. So I was sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, my body's resources are being depleted. Some years ago, 6 years ago, now that I know, because it popped up in my Facebook memories yesterday. I'm sorry, this story is getting weird. So I told my husband that my body's been very weird. I was sick a few weeks ago, and then I haven't gotten back out of it. It was just a throat thing and I couldn't talk. Now I can talk, but I still just feel off. Like I feel just kind of like fatigued, and like my brain is just slower than it is normally moving. Like I just feel weird and sluggish and tired. And of course I don't sleep because I have this like baby that wants to nurse all night, and then I'm nursing all night. And so then my nutritional stores are just absolutely depleted. My husband mentioned, he said, don't you remember a few years ago when you got hyperparathyroidism while you were nursing? And he said, do you think it could be the same thing? And I thought, oh, I don't know about that. I mean, maybe it could. I pull up my Facebook memories, and on that exact date, 6 years previously, was the day that I went into the doctor, because I felt like God told me to go get blood work, but I knew that God had already told me it was my parathyroid. I was praying about my weird symptoms, and I said, God, what is it? And I heard the word parathyroid, and I didn't know that there was a thing as a parathyroid. Like I didn't know that. So I Googled it up. It's different from a thyroid. I did all this research, and I realized, yes, all of my symptoms are on the list of parathyroid problems. They're also on the list of thyroid problems, but in my heart, I just knew God said parathyroid. He didn't say thyroid. He said parathyroid. And I felt like God told me to go get my blood work done. So I went to the doctor, and, I'm not really a big like doctor goer. So I didn't have like a doctor that knew me or something. I just like this random lady. And I said, okay, I'm having all these symptoms, honestly. And I said, I think it's my parathyroid, and I need you to do the blood work for my parathyroid. And she said, no, you're crazy. Everyone has problems with their thyroid, not their parathyroid. Don't you know that parathyroids and thyroids are different? She was really sassy to me, but I was just like, yeah, I know that. And I know that it's my parathyroid. She said, how do you know that? And I said, well, I know it sounds crazy, but I prayed about it, and I heard the word parathyroid, and I felt like it was the voice of God telling me that it's my parathyroid and I need my blood work done. So she was really a little biatch to me, but she did do it. She did run the tests, and she said, I'm going to run a thyroid panel, but fine, for you, I'll also run the parathyroid panel. So she did. And guess what? My thyroid is the picture of health. My parathyroid is off the charts. My blood calcium levels are off the charts. It didn't even show up on like the freaking graph. Okay. So yeah, I had a serious hypercalcemia issue, and she would not believe me, because she was like, you have to stop supplementing calcium, stop taking calcium pills. You're going to kill yourself. Like you're going to give yourself osteoporosis. Stop taking calcium pills. I wasn't supplementing, and my kids were all allergic to dairy and cruciferous vegetables, which are the primary sources of calcium in a normal diet. And so I was not getting any calcium. All of the calcium was getting taken from my bones and my teeth. My teeth had horrible issues. I was like getting all these cavities. Anyway, the point is, I think that it's coming back around, but this time I've caught it much faster because I had that conversation. I'm more in tune with my body. I was able to talk to my husband about it, and he brought that up. And then of course it showed up on my phone. It's exactly the 6-year anniversary of that event. And so I think that's a pretty good sign that that's what we're working with. So I've been Googling up today about breastfeeding and hypercalcemia, breastfeeding and hyperparathyroidism. There is a link, and breastfeeding can cause pseudo hyperparathyroidism specifically, which leads to hypercalcemia, which is when your blood calcium is super high. When you have really high blood calcium, you get brain fog, you get fatigue, you get just kind of like spacey, and you can have all sorts of digestive problems as well. But anyway, there's like this whole laundry list of things, but it can be linked to nursing. And so I've been thinking about weaning my baby, because she's one, almost turning one in a week and a half. And, I've nursed my other kids longer, but when it's your body, like, you have to take care of your body. Like if I'm nursing her and just depleting myself, like, that doesn't serve anybody. She's old enough to eat food. So anyway, I've been researching supplements, blah, blah, blah. The point is, I thought, what if I could just wean her in the next 2 weeks? And then I thought, oh my gosh, it's this eclipse. On what axis? The axis of food, and whose resources are whose. Okay. Right now, my baby and I are over here in this Scorpio zone, where she is living off of resources that are not hers. Okay. She is draining my resources dry. Over here, we have that North Node that says, actually, what if you fed yourself? What if you were the one that ate food for yourself that was made for you, instead of, taken from somebody else's body, right? I mean, as I'm saying that, I'm like, but all food comes from something's body. But anyway, the point is, I thought, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. I have to talk about this, because this is the story of that axis for me and my family this next 2 weeks. I think I'm going to try and wean her. And I feel like I will have a lot of support for that because of this eclipse portal. We will have this 2-week period where we all get to focus on whose resources are we using, and are we using other people's resources or our own? And this is the call to come back and focus on our own resources, becoming self-reliant, whatever that means for us. Am I saying that this is the eclipse portal where in 2 weeks we should all have a self-sustaining off-grid homestead? Like, no, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that in this next 2 weeks, we're all going to have the opportunities that will organically present themselves. They've already started. You are going to today, because I'm telling you to do it. Do it. My friends, your subconscious minds, do it. You're going to start just thinking, and these thoughts are going to come into your mind, where you're going to realize these different situations in your life are bringing your attention to what is going on in your life that is due to other people's resources, and what is your own call to be more self-reliant. Okay. Where are you taking more than you're giving? Where are you giving more than you're taking? That's all on this axis as well. Okay. So it's a call to notice, where are you being sucked dry, and maybe stop that so that you can focus on your own self-reliance. Okay. It's a good week. It's a good 2 weeks to say no to things. And it's a good 2 weeks to also say yes to things. As far as like, what are the things you can say yes to that are going to make you more self-reliant emotionally, or physically, or financially, or just kind of in any way? I mean, again, me weaning my baby is like a perfect example of this, but it's not about money. It's not about dependence necessarily, although her dependence on me, now I get to shift it to be her dependence on her own self to feed her own self actual food, right? And so that is just an example of it. But okay, as we go about today, we're all just priming our subconscious minds to pay attention to these themes. These are going to be the themes of the next 2 weeks. This next 2-week period, we have this big chance to work through this stuff and make some serious progress that is not even possible in other periods astrologically. So I wanted to bring that to your attention today. And oh man, there's so much to say about this chart. I'll just mention one more thing about it, which is that Venus and Jupiter are exact as well, which is kind of a big deal. This is a big sign of blessings. Venus deals with money, love, romance. Jupiter expands everything. Every time you see Venus and Jupiter together in a chart, it's like, yeah. You want to see that in a chart because it's kind of considered like de facto good. It's just a good thing in a chart. But the one thing that I will mention about it is that on a global chart, this is a chart that's going to affect the whole world, okay, for 2 weeks. not everybody has a lot of money. Not everybody has loving relationships, which is what this Venus is. And Jupiter here just expands everything. It's Jupiter here is just going to expand whatever we're already feeling. Okay. So if you're already struggling with money or relationships, Jupiter can expand that as part of this eclipse process. Okay. And why is it to hurt you? No, it is to help you. All of this is to give us the opportunities that we need to heal and grow as quickly as possible in the divine timing. Okay. So that is something to keep an eye on. Money and relationships, we're going to have a big chance to deal with those things. They're going to really come to the forefront for everybody in different ways. Like for me and my baby, I'm assuming that the love of our relationship is going to have some big trials as I wean her, because she's like crazy about nursing. And so that will be a big relationship conflict in the next 2 weeks, you know? And, but this here is Neptune in Pisces. This is all in Pisces. As long as we tune in to the divine and our divine connection, we will be led on how to handle these situations. Okay. So, okay. In the past, I've done like daily videos for eclipse portals, and I'm thinking about doing it, but also I feel like I have a parathyroid issue and I'm feeling so spacey, and maybe I don't come off as it right now, but like after this video, I'll probably just lay down and feel terrible for a while. But anyway, I've healed it before. They say that you can't heal hyperparathyroidism, but I have done it and I have the proof. I have the proof of my hypercalcemia off the charts. And then the last time I got my blood calcium checked, it was very normal. It was like 9.8 or something like that, which is like low end of normal. So I have done this before. I will do it again. It does take some work and take some time. So that is on my to-do list. But so anyway, I'm not sure if I'm going to do daily videos this time. I would like to, and we'll see if I can make it happen. But we'll just see. So, okay. Thanks guys for being here. Prepare. This eclipse is coming up. And of course, nope, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Bye guys. Love you so much.